live here. All right, I think that we're starting to feed out to the folks there. If you guys can hear us loud and clear, let us know. Let us know whether or not you can hear us. Obviously, if you're joining us live here on Utreon, you already know this. We do it so we can hold shooters. Guns, there you go. This is the Walther PPQ 22 LR Tactical that I have here. YouTube won't let us do that, so that's why we're not going live on YouTube. If you're listening to this on audio and you want to join us, you need to go to Utreon/Who Moved My Freedom Podcast or WMMF Podcast. You can Google it, you can look it up, you will find it, and that is the place that you can join us live. Or obviously later we will put it onto the YouTubes as a replay for all you folks out there, but we can't go live and hold guns. So there you go. That being said, see, I've got guns. I know my friend Sean from Pew Pew. Look at him. He's dual fisting it.
I mean, I got two Walthers over here. I'm doubled up.
Yeah, there you go. You're a Walther dude all the way. Do you have a Walther hat though? Look, I got the Walther hat. I got the PDP shirt. What you got? What kind of shirt is that you got on? Looks cool, actually.
I got this.
You're showing off the baldy.
This is a Pew Pew Tactical shirt right here.
Yeah, it looks good. I like that. There's all kinds of different guns on there.
My set, man.
Yeah, we're gonna have to look at that on the Pew Pew Tactical site. I like that shirt. So that being said, let me press the buttons here and get all into this show. Let's do this.
Welcome back to the Hank Strange Situation, Lifestyles of the Locked and Loaded.
We wouldn't be able to keep the Who Moved My Freedom podcast going without the support of great companies like Franklin Armory. Franklin Armory provides 100% US-made firearms and awesome binary option triggers. Their focus and purpose is to provide freedom tools to all Americans, especially those in not-so-free states. So when you're in the market, please consider Franklin Armory. All right, so we are live. Here we go. There we go. We've got Sean of Pew Pew Tactical. Okay, so Sean, we do jazz hands. That's how we get it going here. There you go, jazz hands. I hope you guys have your big girl panties on. This is episode 926 of the Who Moved My Freedom podcast. And my guest, as I said, is Sean Curtis of Pew Pew Tactical. Sean.
That's it.
What's
That's
up?
it. Hank, thanks for having me back, man. It's been too long.
It has been. It's good to see you, brother.
Grace.
You moved closer to where I live. You're in Texas, I'm in Florida, but it's not close enough. It's not close enough, man. You need to get in that Pew Pew Tactical helicopter. You guys have like a Blue Thunder type helicopter over there?
No, we need something like that.
Yeah, man, come on.
Blue Thunder. Yeah, it's parked right next to Airwolf.
Oh, Airwolf is even better, man. Airwolf. Okay, whoever is pulling the purse strings over at Pew Pew Tactical, you need to get up on that Airwolf. What is that, like a Bell? Someone will tell me in the chat. What was that, like a Bell? It was some kind of Bell helicopter that was, right? I think so.
Yeah, I think so, but obviously heavily modified for combat scenario.
Yeah, for TV and I think there was like one movie purposes.
Yeah.
What's up, man? How's everything going? What's going on in your world?
Really good. So I am absolutely excited to tell you guys that I am now 1 year in at Pew Pew Tactical. I started writing for them in 2014. Back when I was still in law enforcement, and or 2018, I'm sorry. I started with Pew Pew in 2018, and continued on in my law enforcement career, and then eventually got to a place where I didn't want to do the other thing anymore, and these guys were kind enough to bring me on board. Moved down to Texas, and it's been an exciting adventure ever since.
Yeah.
The role keeps changing, but it's still essentially about telling stories, and obviously in the Second Amendment community. So we're excited about it, and really thrilled that it's been 1 year in, and I'm living that dream, man. Like the things that I always thought were so cool, if I could do those things when I was in that job, right? Like so many people right now have a job and they're looking at other people doing something else and they're like, I want to do that. I was that guy. Like
Yep.
I was that guy.
And
And
you were serving in law enforcement in, was it in Portland? You're on the west coast, right? So
Colorado.
Colorado.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's kind of funny. I had a guy who's been a writer for a long time, especially in the
Hmm.
Second Amendment community. David Fortier told me, "Look, take that fuel, take that angst that you're going through in your career, and use it to fuel you to move into something else." So
Hmm.
I did,
Hmm.
and
David
it's been
Fortier.
going great.
How well do you know David Fortier? How well?
Well, how well does anyone know David Fortier? The man's a
I
bit of a
love that guy,
mystery.
man. I love
Oh,
that
he's a
guy.
good,
That
yeah,
is one of the, so for me as a YouTuber, as a gun guy on YouTube, there was always like a weird relationship with the writer guys. I mean, I don't know if you went through this. I definitely went through it. David Fortier was never that dude, man. He was always good to me, always welcoming, always encouraging. Out of nowhere, he would drop me emails and things like that, or whenever I saw him in person. I really do love David Fortier, man. He's a great dude.
yeah.
Hmm.
No, I owe him so much. I mean, I'd gotten a start writing for Police One on the digital side, but David Fortier gave me my first break. He got me connected with Rob Manning over at Gun World Magazine. And so I was able to kind of go back in the progression, I guess you would,
Hmm.
and write for a print publication when Dave was able to introduce me over there. And it wasn't easy.
Hmm.
My photos sucked. And I had the writing down okay, but my photos were atrocious. And Rob Manning helped me out with that. So I owe those guys both. But you're right. It is an interesting point. There's kind of an old guard division or mentality with the print publications because you will run into them when you go to some of these events that folks put on. And the YouTubers or digital folks are sometimes disdained a little bit by the guys that have been around doing it for a long time. But Dave was never one.
No, he was
He
never
was
that
always,
guy. He was never that guy. He's
yeah,
one of those awesome people in the gun world, man, that I really appreciate when I first started doing this. Hey, I'll share a picture with you guys. I mean, it's not good. You don't
yes,
really get to see him, but that's, if you could tell, that's him right there.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
him
for
right there.
sure.
And also, I can tell you one thing, man. This is one of those, I don't know, genetics or whatever. This is a dude that can eat all the snacks that he wants and stay skinny. I hate it.
Right,
I
right.
don't know how it's possible.
Right. I'll gain a few pounds just looking at a cupcake, and he'll
Yeah.
polish off a whole box, and he's
Yeah, I
good to
don't know.
go.
I don't know how he does that, man. Like, what kind of, you have that metabolism when you're a kid, but seriously, he still has it.
Right.
So, yeah, good dude.
His brain is operating on a higher level, my friend.
Yeah, we need
He's
to.
constantly
Mm-hmm.
generating edits and processing photos, and
Yeah,
so he just burns more
yeah.
calories than we do.
You know what? We need to get him on this show, man. I don't think
That
we've
would be cool.
never. I don't know. I don't think we've had David Fortier on the show, and we need to do something about that. We need to see if he's capable of using the internet. I need to drop him an email.
So I mean, good dude, right? And
Yeah.
he has bridged the gap. He's not just print. He's done stuff for Guns and Ammo TV. So he's out there in that digital space
Hmm.
and still doing good stuff. And he's been, he's forgotten more stuff about guns than I'll probably ever know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll work on that. By the way, Cruz, shout out to everyone who's out there. I see Vanessa Kitty, DCG 44s, 42 Chilled, everyone, Appalachian Gunrunner. Anyone who wants a shout out or has questions or things they want us to talk about, we'll definitely get into it. We do have a very cool announcement that Sean's going to do at some point here about Pew Pew Tactical for you guys. But Cruz Man said he said Sean grew a beard. There you go. Lola had the same conversation with Sean before we started, and we started a little early here. Yeah, what's up? Because you're like, oh, I've been had a beard.
No, I've had a beard for several years now. When
Hmm.
I was working at the DA's office, I started growing a beard because I wasn't in uniform anymore, so I didn't have that requirement. It got a little long, and so they changed their policy. And there's always people at law enforcement agencies that create policies, and it's usually a bad thing. This one wasn't so bad, but they made it 1 inch. You had to have a beard under 1 inch, neat and groomed. Granted, it has been several years. I've had a beard, but it's gotten longer now, and there's nothing stopping me. My wife calls it the freedom beard because I'm
Hmm.
not precluded from, by policy or even sound reasoning, from continuing to grow my facial hair. But it is a commitment. So the freedom beard is somewhat of a misnomer,
Yeah.
my friend.
I'm laughing for two reasons. One of them I don't know if I could tell you. Um, First of all, how's your wife? Does she like the beard? Your
Brother,
wife's
she
awesome.
loves the beard. Yeah,
Yeah.
she loves the beard, and so
Uh
does
huh.
my daughter.
Uh huh.
If I were to even suggest
Hmm.
something different, there would probably be a bit of a rebellion here in the
Hmm.
household.
Yeah. That's interesting. A lot of dudes I talk to, the wives like the beard even more than the dudes, and the dudes are then therefore not allowed to get rid of the beard, or they look weird to the
Yeah.
wives.
Now, I look about 40 years younger. I can tell you that much for sure. But the funny thing about wives is they don't have to take care of it, right? They don't have to wash it. They don't have to groom it. They don't have to use the hot brush to straighten it out, or put
Okay.
the oil or the wax or any of that stuff. There's
Oh
some other
boy.
fun realities too.
Uh-huh.
I haven't had any issues where, because people will be like, "Oh, you got a tactical beard. I'm sure it gets caught in your receiver." No, I haven't run into that. I'm hoping that I don't grow one so long that that's an issue.
Yeah.
But occasionally you will run into problems where people don't always aren't always aware. Like, you remember bedhead, right? You go to bed, you wake
Hmm.
up, your
Yeah.
hair
Yeah.
might be a mess. You have to
Hmm.
take care of it, right?
Hmm.
Well, bed beard is
There's several
totally.
different versions of bedhead, but yes, that's one of them.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Bed beard is this too. Like, you'll wake up in the morning and something horrible
Uh,
has happened under your chin, and you've got to take care of it.
Damn. Ham Radio 2.0 is out there. Shout out to Ham Radio 2.0. I think I'm going to see
Um,
him in a couple of weeks, if I'm not mistaken. Are you into ham radio at all?
no,
Okay.
I had friends when we were in search and rescue who were
Hmm.
ham operators, and
Hmm.
great community out there. Love those guys, but I haven't gotten into it myself.
You're an old retired dude. You got to get into that now. Lola and I have our ham operator's license.
Yeah, you all about that van life too.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
does Lola have to say about living in a van down by the river?
Oh, she could do it for a certain amount of time. I could do it for a lot
Wait a
longer
minute.
time.
Okay.
But we're not
Okay.
permanently living in the van. It's usually temporary. We spent the weekend in it. Here, I'm gonna actually cut to my phone. So check it out. I'm in the van right now. See, there's the front, right there. There's the
Nice.
front. The driving
Okay.
up front there. You guys can see.
Got your
Um,
3D printer up there, and you're okay.
no, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of. This is all the equipment I use to do the show. See,
Oh,
lights,
man, look at
camera, all kinds
we're getting
of
some rare
equipment.
behind the scene footage
Yeah,
here
there
today.
you go. Right next to me here, that's the This is actually the bathroom of my
Okay.
of my of my
Yeah.
van.
You gotta have
The
economy of
throne,
space.
the porcelain throne is in there. See it peeking out? That's all you guys get to see. Just the legs, just the legs.
Very nice.
So yeah,
Very
this
nice.
is this is what I'm actually in. This is how I'm doing the show here. So I'm in the van, and that is one of the reasons we have the ham radio, but we have it for lots of other reasons. And ham radio 2.0 is the dude who got me into it. The ham radio community is actually they're pretty cool, man. Really nice
Yeah.
guys. You know,
Yeah,
in
for sure.
in lots of ways. Now, people can get mad about this if you want to. The gun community has been very welcoming to me. The ham radio guys are even friendlier than the gun guys. Believe it
I
or
don't doubt
not.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't doubt that for a second. I mean, like I
Yeah.
said, I worked with them extensively on search and rescue, so
Hmm.
they were always out there, already willing to commit their time and their resources to help people that they didn't even know. So,
Yep.
yeah, absolutely. That's been
Yeah.
my finding.
Yeah.
They're good folks.
Ham Radio 2.0 says, y'all coming to Huntsville? Yes, we should be in Huntsville. So we'll be out there, and you'll see us out there. And one of the things too, that's one of the places where the streams cross. A lot of ham radio guys are gun guys, and a lot of gun guys are ham radio guys. So
Yeah, yeah, it absolutely makes sense, right? It's about being able to communicate and express those freedoms. First and Second Amendment are wrapped up in those two things together perfectly.
absolutely, and being prepared and being a survivalist,
Yep.
etc., etc.,
Yeah.
etc. Night Train says beards are too much trouble to maintain. Plus, it makes me look like an old hobo from Night Train. So this is the thing I was gonna say before, man. Lola, this is why I was laughing. Lola just found out what mustache rides are. She didn't. She didn't know about that. You know, Lola is like was not born here, and there's certain cultural things that have not like seeped into the old cranium. And somewhere we went to, and the guy had a T-shirt on there, that said like "free mustache rides." And Lola, she was like trying to figure. I was like, "Are you trying to tell me you don't know what that is?" She's like, "No, I don't know. I don't know what that is." So that became a situation I had to tell her to Google, and she was like, "How do you guys sit down and just make up all this crap?"
And then turn around and make a T-shirt out of it
Yeah.
and wear that in
And it's like
public.
I was trying to give her hints. I was like, "Listen, you don't know what mustache rides are, but you've been on them before."
Oh man.
So anyway, I know right now she's mad. She's somewhere looking at this, fuming or whatever. That I'm putting her business out in the world.
Hey, you know
But
what? You cannot blame Lola for her innocence, and nor should we chastise her. More power to
mm,
you, lady. Thank you very much.
yeah, absolutely. Listen, so when we travel, you guys have Buc-ee's in Texas. Obviously, that's where it comes from. Have you discovered
Yes.
Buc-ee's?
Oh man, so that's a rite of passage, right? You come to Texas. That's just one of the things that you learn about.
Mm-hmm.
And Bucky's is amazing, and it started here in Texas. So, and it's slowly spreading to the other states. Um, Kind of a funny note here, but the other day, the editor in chief of Pew Pew Tactical is Jackie Billings. I think you probably know her.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Sounds
we
familiar.
got on,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, we got on a call,
Mm-hmm.
and she and I both had a Bucky's T-shirt on. Now she's in Tennessee, but Bucky's has spread out there too,
Yeah.
and we both had our Bucky's T-shirts on. No coordination on that whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's a thing, man.
Bucky's is in Florida too. There's a Bucky's in St. Augustine, Florida, and I think there's going to be another one somewhere, but I don't think it's open yet. But I'm a big
Oh
fan of
man, where
Bucky's.
is it at?
Look at that. Look, check
Where
that
is
out.
it at? And that's awesome.
St.
Yeah.
Augustine.
So
Boom.
if
There's
you
my
want
Bucky's.
the
Hmm.
cleanest gas station around with the bathrooms, right? You
Hmm.
you want to get some food, and you want that experience, right? Like you have to stop at a gas station, so it might as well be a Bucky's, right? You're
Bucky.
gonna
Yeah,
have an experience.
I am a believer in Bucky's. Okay, um, clean bathrooms, good
Yeah,
food in there, tons of pumps for you to get your gas. The gas is typically at a good price in there. They pay their employees very well, so the employees. I mean, the last time I was in there, I need to find out my. The last time I was in there, I was looking at what they pay. Think I took a picture, and I was like, man, these guys don't mess around. It's better money than what you get on the YouTubes.
yeah,
You're
right.
better off working at. Oh, here we go. Um, Let me see. Where is that? Oh, here it goes. Yeah, right here. I'm gonna throw this up on the screen. Look at that. That's so I spent a lot of money there for like 19 and a
Sure.
half gallons. I spent $77. But look at what, like, when you start at Bucky's, you make $17 an hour.
There you go.
You know, and the department leads are like $24 to $34 an hour. So, I mean, I know
Mhm.
there's people who make a lot more money than that, but damn, that's pretty good.
I mean, it's a gas station, right?
Yeah,
It is, but it isn't, right?
yeah,
You walk into that place, and it's like a whole experience, you
yeah.
know. You walk in, and besides the fact that it's well lit and there's ample parking everywhere,
Hmm.
you're getting a Walmart inside of your gas station,
Oh yeah,
and
better than a Walmart.
right,
It's better than a Sam's Club. It's something like a
yeah,
Costco, to be honest with you. If
yeah,
anyone's familiar
yeah.
with
And,
Costco experience,
you can buy clothing. You can pick up flatware if
yeah,
you want
you can get food. You can get good brisket.
some mud flaps, or some or some barbecue.
Yeah,
Man, you go
yeah.
to Bucky.
Bucky's is awesome, man. Bucky's is awesome. I am a
Yeah,
massive fan of Bucky's. If they did a franchise, I would quit YouTube and just put all my money into a franchise of a Bucky
well,
somewhere and just
you know
run
what,
that.
Hank, you just put that out into the universe, man.
No, they don't. It's family owned. Nobody, there's no franchising. I already looked into it.
Okay,
I I already did the research on that one. The
all right,
answer is no. The answer is no.
yeah. Oh,
Cruiseman says hashtag keep Lola innocent, and Jade Grew agrees with that. Lola did not know what a beaver was. So we were on the highway, and Bucky's has all these beaver double entendres. She had no idea what the double entendre for beaver was. Just like the mustache rides, I had to make her Google it. So,
hmm,
and she
hmm.
was once again mad at me. we're gonna we're gonna take a break. We're gonna be right back here. Walther Arms has been making concealed carry handguns for over 90 years, starting with the PPK. Today, Walther is based in the good old US of A and still builds quality firearms like the PPQ and PDP for personal defense and competition. So when you're in the market, please consider Walther Arms. We wouldn't be able to keep the Who Moved My Freedom podcast going without the support of great companies like Walther Arms. Yes, absolutely. Shout out to Walther Arms. I think we're both fans.
Love Walton.
Yes. Obviously, now, your dog loves Walther also. Now, obviously,
Goes on too.
the podcast is sponsored by Walther Arms, but I love their stuff, man. I mean, like I said, I got my PPQ 22 Tactical right here, as you can see from the magazine. So, you were telling me about this? What is it you got right here?
Okay, so I just showed you the PDP compact from Walther,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
the new hotness is the PDP-F. And this thing is so cool for so many different reasons.
Looks good.
But one of
Mm-hmm.
the biggest ones is it, there's a lot of marketing toward women for this pistol because they significantly reduced the grip circumference, and they also reduced the length of pull, right? On a shotgun, we all know what length of pull is. It's from the shoulder out to the grip. But uh, in the length of pull in a pistol, you're talking about the backstrap to the trigger. And in this case, they reduce the pull. Walther takes feedback from people who are involved in the industry, right? And they have folks in the Walther Defense Division who were instrumental in implementing certain features in the PDP during its development.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so cool because there are some gun companies out there that their engineers are the ones who come up with the design, and they're not listening to a lot of feedback.
Right, and then
Uh,
and a lot of those engineers are not necessarily the ladies. So statistically,
right.
engineers are usually dudes. But Walther has a lot of awesome, amazing shooters on
Oh
their
yeah.
teams, etc., that are
Yeah.
women. So yeah.
Right. I
Mhm.
mean, besides their pro team, right? They've got a professional competition shooting competition team
Mm-hmm.
that has women on it. And then Tatiana Whitlock is
Mm-hmm.
a member of the Walther Defense Division. And their feedback was used to say, hey, we love the PDP, but the grip is a little bit thick. How could we possibly do something a little
Yeah.
better?
Right. And they
And
also have a lot of little hand dudes over there too. I mean, let's be honest.
sure, yeah,
You
I mean, little hand dudes are everywhere, right? I mean, they're all over the place. Um,
If when
but
someone from Walther sees that, they're gonna be the last time we were talking about this PDPF, we looked at the video that they put out to promote it here, and we were kind of doing a mystery science. You ever saw Mystery Science when they look at movies? We were making
yeah,
fun of that video. So now they're gonna be
yeah.
like, oh, and Hank Strange said they're gonna make notes, and he said we have little hands. So there you go. I'm sorry,
No,
I
I get it.
interrupted you.
Oh, you're good. You're good, man.
Mhm.
I think the marketing is leaning heavily toward ladies, um, but Walter went in, man. They took their team and they went out and measured thousands of hands. I was talking to Jens at NRAM this year, and he said that the team measured thousands of people's hands so they could figure out the generalization of the dimensional differences between women and men's hands. Like I said, generalizing, right? We
Mhm.
can't be very specific, but on a
Mhm.
rule, they were able to determine that hand sizes were different in different areas, like the distance between the knuckles versus the distance of the heel. And they
Mhm.
figured out that an appropriate grip for the PDPF would be what it was. It was overall reduced circumference, but also a reduced length of pull from the back strap to the actual trigger pull. And as a result, the PDPF was born.
Mhm.
Now it still uses the PDP compact, like a 15 round magazine. The PDP standard, the 18 round magazine will still fit in that grip, but the
Mhm.
external surfaces are different, and that's where you get the big benefit of having that reduced circumference made real.
Yeah, and I heard a lot of guys like this. I have not had an opportunity to get my hands on it. So it's not just the women that like it. There are dudes, men who have smaller hands or just that fit. It looks, you know what? When I look at it, it looks a lot like a 1911 kind of grip.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
so and you were showing that versus the PDP. There's less of a hump, which I kind of like that. I kind of yeah, this it's in this one, but I kind of like this here just for ergonomics. It kind of goes into my
Right.
hand, but there are people who
Yep.
don't like that and like that kind of like straight up and down. If you could just show everyone out there the comparison of the two.
So here's the F, and let's see if I can get this one up next to it.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. So you can see that hump on the back there. The F looks like it's a little bit a touch longer.
Right.
Um,
Now, it does come with the adjustable back straps. Even the F does, so you still
okay.
have that option. Um, but here's the science behind it, right?
Mhm.
I was a post-certified firearms instructor for my agency before I left, before I retired. So I
Mhm.
have some facility with training folks on firearms, even women who may have anywhere from none to some experience with firearms. And when I put this gun in my wife's hands, she was just blown away. She was impressed with the ability to get a more complete grip. And when we've looked at that in comparison with other guns that we've put in her hands, regardless, if you use the best techniques to try to get the most complete grip, there would still be gaps, right? Where you
Mhm.
could see parts of the grip,
Mhm.
where you could see parts of the gun that weren't being covered by flesh.
Mhm.
And that creates a situation where you don't have positive contact with the firearm. And we know that recoil is going to be, it's undeniable, right? You've got a full size pistol. Even if it's a 9 millimeter, it's still going to have some recoil. There's going to be some muzzle flip. But the more contact that you have between the gun and your hand, hands, the better off you're going to be with mitigating that recoil. And we tested it out, and it was significantly improved.
Yeah, can I trouble you to show us your grip on there? Because it looks like you've got longer fingers. Probably like your hands look somewhat like mine. I'm just
Sure. So
curious.
I've
Yeah.
got I wear a 2X glove. I have a big hand,
Oh, yours are
but
okay. Hmm.
this is the kind of strange thing about the PDP. Not only does it work with smaller hands, it still works with big hands.
Hmm.
So I'm able to get, I have more overlap, like up front, especially.
Hmm.
I'm able to get really good grip here, and there's practically no gap whatsoever
Hmm.
along the back strap or on the side of the grip.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, yeah. Your hands. I'm like. I think I am. You're two extra large on the gloves. Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm 1X. So there you go. Uh, yeah. You got bigger hands, man.
See?
I concede to you, sir. On the hand side. Yeah. Uh,
We want to ask Lola what she thinks about that.
yeah. Yeah. Who knows? Uh,
Maintain the innocence.
yeah, absolutely. No, so that's cool. And how many rounds have you gotten through that so far? I mean, how is it?
About
You know.
500. Yeah,
Okay.
we
Hmm.
went out and did just kind of a shakedown, but I've got over 5,000 rounds through my PDP. I've been
Hmm.
reviewing it since uh, 2020 when I got that
Hmm.
early preview, and Walther sent us out to Illinois. Um, I love the gun. It's
Hmm.
phenomenal, and the PDP-F is just a better version from the sense that it's going to be more easily controlled by a wider group of people,
Yeah.
and we need that, man. We need that from the standpoint of being more inclusive
Hmm.
as a community, right?
Hmm.
Like I love to draw that parallel that you just talked about with the ham radio operators. We need all the folks we can.
Uh-huh.
We've got an assault weapons ban coming.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Hopefully
that
not. Hopefully not. But yes, it's always looming out
hope,
in the distance. You know.
hope is not a method for success, my friend.
No.
And no, you know that. But if we can put some PDPFs in
Hmm.
some ladies' hands, if we can put some PDPFs in some smaller handed folks who have struggled with recoil in the past,
Yeah.
man,
Well, you know
what a
what's
better world we would
Yeah,
live in.
absolutely. You know what's funny? I think I saw something on that today. Let me see if I could pull it up. Um, yeah, here it goes. We're talking about this looming assault weapons ban out there that went through um, the House, went through Congress, but not the Senate. And here's one of the articles. There's several articles like this though, and the headline on this one is "Gun Buyers Defy Pelosi and Democrats. Sales top 1 million a month for 3 straight years." So gun sales hit a new record in July, the 36th straight month of firearms purchases over 1 million. In breaking the record, people delivered a strong message to liberal Democrats who last week passed a ban on buying the nation's most popular firearm, the modern sporting rifle, and other semi automatic weapons and parts. According to industry experts, sales in July topped 1.2 million. That means sales have hit 1 million or more each month for 3 consecutive years. That's a tremendous milestone, especially taken in light of actions of the Democrats in the U.S. House of Representatives last week, said Mark Oliva, spokesman for the National Shooting Sports Foundation, the industry trade group, and that's from Restoring America. Washington Examiner presents Restoring America. So, I mean, you know, dude, 3 years, 1 million guns. What?
Yeah, it's not a surprise. And the funny thing is, and as much as we like to polarize this issue,
Mm-hmm.
um, if it weren't for liberal support of firearms, even if it's not tacit, right? Even if
Mm-hmm.
it's not overt,
Right.
there would be more firearm legislation currently. But the
Mm-hmm.
reality is, even though the Republicans are typically, traditionally the ones who are more resistant to institution of more firearm legislation, um, there would be more accomplished. There would be more of that implemented if the Democrats didn't support it.
Mm-hmm.
But they do.
Mm-hmm.
They love their firearms too.
Mm-hmm.
They're just less vocal about it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes down to, especially, the trends that we've seen over the last couple of years, where folks have been living in larger communities that have been destabilized by the pandemic, by stuff involving the police.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got a scenario where lawlessness is kind of on the rise, and the pandemic has created supply chain issues. People are about protecting themselves, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what side of the spectrum you're on. That's a
Yeah.
universal need, right? To be able to.
Yeah, what in the world has happened to make normal thinking human beings go, yeah, I don't want to defend myself. I don't need to do that. I'll abdicate that. Nothing in the world has happened. Nancy Pelosi decides she wants to go to Taiwan. China says, yo, we'll shoot you down. There's nothing, Ukraine versus Russia. What's happening right here in America to people, the things happening in cities all over America, the lawlessness. What in the
Yeah.
last 3 years has happened to make Americans go, yeah, we don't need that Second Amendment thing. We don't need to defend ourselves. I think they're recruiting people to our side while they're living in some kind of wild fantasy world.
Right. And the funny thing is, we can say that all day long, but the gun sales don't reflect that sentiment, right? Like,
Yeah.
nobody is necessarily willing to give up their
No,
rights.
they're getting more. 1 million a month in America.
Right. Now,
36. That's 36 million guns added.
you could argue that it's a small minority of right-leaning folks who are going out there and saying, "Oh my gosh, let me get all the guns," right? But I think that's not
Yeah.
wholly accurate. I
Yeah.
imagine there are some middle-minded to liberal folks who are just as interested in protecting their families, protecting their investments, and having the right under the Second Amendment to do so is a wonderful thing.
Yes, everyone wants to protect themselves. Everyone needs their claws and their fangs. Okay? It doesn't matter what walk of life you come from, what you believe in politically, when it comes to religion, when it comes to sexuality or anything else. Everyone wants to defend themselves. No one wants someone kicking their door down, robbing them in the streets, trying to kidnap their children. No one wants that. We all want, regardless of our walks of life, we all want to defend ourselves. And I think that the politicians out there that are just blatantly going after the Second Amendment and and ripping apart the Constitution for that matter, they need to think about that.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully they have a day of reckoning coming to them. I do want to share this really quick here. Armament and Axes gave us $5. Thanks a lot, Armament and Axes. I appreciate it.
All right.
He says, "Hey Hank, we finally hit 1K subs. Thanks for the shout outs. It did help. So awesome. Congratulations on
Good for
that."
you guys.
Yes, if you guys are watching, you could subscribe to Armament and Axes on YouTube or here on Utreon. And he's got some good stuff. He's a gun guy. And the Axes is a guitarist. He's a musician. Plays the
Okay.
guitar. Yeah. So,
Outstanding.
yeah. Do you play any musical instruments, man?
I've been known to play the harmonica on occasion.
Okay. Nice. Is that code? Is that code for something?
No, it's not. No, look, Lola.
Yeah,
No,
Lola's googling. Play the
I was
harmonica.
I
What
was
is it?
always I was the singer in high school. I was in madrigals. I was in choir. Did some a cappella stuff, and I was even in a metal band in high school. Back when I had hair on top of my head and couldn't grow much underneath. So kind of a funny transition there. But yeah, I have played the harmonica, and that's pretty much it.
Uh huh. So you say. So say you. So say you right now. I'm looking
Yeah.
at that T-shirt. We need to find in the next segment. We're going to get into your news about Pew Pew Tactical. But where is that? Is that T-shirt on Pew Pew Tactical? I need
No,
to.
it's on TriStar Trading.
TriStar Trading. Okay,
TriStar
TriStar
Trading.
Okay, I gotta spell it right
Yeah,
first.
we have a
TriStar.
whole suite of t-shirts and caps. There's even some rifle slings that we have. Just a number of personalized products
Oh, so
that.
you go here and you search Pew Pew Tactical, maybe?
Yeah, yeah. There's sections, man. Look at that. There's patches.
Oh, oh, there you go. Oh, there it goes. There's the shirt.
Good. Yeah,
Yeah, let's get that loaded here, and then I'll show it off to the people. Is that there? We go.
that's the one, man.
Yeah,
That's the
that's
one.
cool. Oh, there you go. And of course, that's the logo, the laser blaster, right?
Right. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, and it all kind of fits with a fun theme. Pew Pew is not a source of information for the snake eaters of the world,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
We're not the Navy SEALs and DevGru and uh, Force Recon, and no, they're not coming to us to look for answers. But what we are is a resource for people who don't necessarily know that much about firearms, and we like to provide that information in a fashion that is not condescending. I think several of us in our industry is guilty of this. Um, have been through an experience where you go into a gun store, maybe you don't know absolutely everything you're supposed to know, and for whatever reason, you're talked down to because of it.
Hmm.
It certainly happens to ladies, but it also happens to the men if
Oh
they
yeah.
don't know everything they're supposed to know. And Pew Pew is antithetical to that. We don't like that approach. We realize that everybody is on their gun journey, and they start off in a different place. And we want to help foster that, bring folks in and present them with good information that's fun and lighthearted and not necessarily so tactical. So we say Pew Pew Tactical.
Yeah. No super tactical ninjas, although
Yeah,
there are those dudes out there, man. Respect.
sure.
You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And thank goodness, right?
Hmm.
But that doesn't mean that there isn't a place for everyone else who wants to learn about firearms.
Hmm.
So a lot of the folks that work at Pew Pew, they don't come from that military or law enforcement background, and they just have good hearts and they want to provide the information and get it out there to folks in a palatable format.
Absolutely. All right, so cool. We're about to go into another break here. So right after that, we're going to talk about more people. We wouldn't be able to keep the Who Moved My Freedom podcast going without the support of great companies like High Point Firearms and Full Forge Gear, bags and gear for everyday life. Did you know High Point is an American family-owned and operated company located in Ohio with over 30 years of manufacturing experience? High Point is proud to be the home of the working man's gun and your source for affordable handguns and carbines with a lifetime warranty. So when you're in the market, please consider High Point. All right, we are back. We're back here. So we've been teasing it. You've got new stuff going on at Pew Pew Tactical. Let me see here. I need to pull up the page because I know you sent me. Actually, let me just
Let's
go
do
to.
that.
Let me go to that email that you sent, and I'll pull it up here. So this is not out yet. This is not a feature of Pew Pew Tactical yet, right?
Right. We're getting a preview tonight of something that we call the Pew Pew Meter. And if you want a quick comparison, like what are we talking about here? Think about Rotten Tomatoes and the Thermometer, right? Like, or however you pronounce that, the Thermometer meter.
Tomato
Uh,
meter.
Tomato
Why does
meter,
that
yeah,
one get you? That one gets you.
that's kind of
Tomato.
funky.
Just say tomato meter. Tomato. Tomato.
Tomato,
Tomato.
tomato, tomato.
Tomato.
Let's call the
Tomato.
whole thing
Yeah.
off.
Potato.
Um,
Potato.
Regardless, it is a feature that we're adding to the website, and we're
Hmm.
happy to bring this out
Oh,
where
cool.
we bring folks in and we rate guns. Now, granted, we already rate guns, right? Like all
Okay.
of our reviews, we assign out to folks in house, or we have a cadre of freelance folks that review guns. But this is more crowdsourcing where we want to go out and get people who have their own experiences and bring them in, have them look at the guns and rate those guns. Go in,
Mhm.
you can click through, you'll be able to assign different categories and rate these guns.
So I
And
can
then
can
you
I
can,
search the PDP in there? Can I search like Walther PDP, or I know this is
you
not fully running yet.
yeah, I don't know if it's up yet, but
Yeah.
let's take a look and see. But you'll be able to go in and even enter text and talk about what your experience has been. And our hope is that we create a kind of community here, but also a database of reference. You'll be
Okay.
able to go in and check out all of the material that we have. So if we have a gun on there that we've reviewed extensively, you'll be able to click into the article and go read that review. You'll be able to go
Oh,
to the
okay.
video, check out that review. And then you'll be able to see the experience of all the other people.
Oh,
And
I like this show. So it's also going to show you here. Let me just go to it. And PDP's not there yet because this is obviously like you guys are still building
yeah,
it and setting it
yeah,
up. So you can also see the prices. So for example, we're
right.
looking at this Springfield Armory 1911, and it shows you what the price is at Brownells. Or if you
Mhm.
go back here and let's see, we'll go look at the Ruger Wrangler 22, and it'll give you the different reviews and then price at Brownells. So you're gonna have other places as well where you can see the price of it, right?
Sure, yeah, and that's a further resource, right? Like if you're
Mm-hmm.
getting to the point where you're ready to make a purchase decision on a firearm,
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't it be great to be able to compare prices and have that all at one location?
Mm-hmm.
In addition to not only the reviews of the people who work at Pew Pew, but all the other folks who have
So
had
everyone gets
experience.
to chime in on that.
Mhm, mhm.
So people obviously they have to sign up and get an account in order to do that, but everyone can sign in and then put their own little review in there.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah, everyone will
Mm-hmm.
be able to go in and do that. And
Mm-hmm.
what we hope to achieve there is more of a collective truth, if you will. Not everyone is going to have a perfect experience with every gun. There are going to be exceptions. There are going to be people who, this one was a bad trigger, but maybe we'll find out that this company's customer service was outstanding and took care of them as a result.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe sometimes we'll find out, ooh, our service was not that good. And you might want to be careful when you make that purchase decision, right? So,
Right. That's a good thing.
in so many ways, right, we have to be careful about our feedback when we present reviews. We provide truthful information in our experience, but we also have to remember that because we are professional reviewers, that our experiences sometimes might be skewed, right?
Mm-hmm.
If a company knows that you have really big reach and they want to make sure everything goes well for exceedingly well for you, that could potentially change things
Yeah.
a little bit. So,
Yeah.
but
Companies might be careful what they send out to you. They might test something more when they send it to you than when they send it to the regular folks out there. There's all kinds of things
right,
happen.
right.
And, there's nothing wrong with that as long as people are disclosing, all those different things. But I think it's a great resource to hear what the people think about things. And I even think for folks out there reviewing things, this could be something they could point to. Just like in the movie world, you're talking about, the tomato meter. Um,
Right,
People point to
right.
that in the movie world, like, oh, this was the critics scoring, this is what the people said, and I think all of
Yeah.
that factors in, right?
And that's so different, right? Because I can't tell you how many times I've gone in and looked at a professional critic's review and I've just completely disagreed with their take on a movie. Like it was just good, mindless fun to go out and
Mm-hmm.
watch that movie. Now, I'm not trying to discredit the reviews that we do, obviously, or the reviews that I do, but people have different experiences and there's value in that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, especially in this world lately with social media and everything else involved, we tend to find that echo chamber. But if you have more input, you're going to have something that's probably going to mirror your experience or at least give you a wider array of feedback on a particular firearm.
Yeah, I don't mind if I don't mind professional reviewers, right? Because let's look at it this way. As a regular consumer out there, you're not going to buy a gun necessarily every week, right? Now, a guy
Right.
who's getting all these different guns and has contact with the industry, etc., he's seeing more things than you. So there is a benefit to that. I think as long as people are open and honest about these things, there's a benefit for that. Like if I'm interested in guns or cars or anything, I'll look at what the professionals that are out there doing that stuff, and then what individuals that buy those things think as well, because it's two completely different data points, and they're both valid as long as both of those people are being honest. I mean, if you let's put it this way, if you buy a car, right? You buy a car, you buy this Toyota, you are highly likely to think the Toyota is awesome. You're not going to say, "Oh, I bought this Toyota, it's a piece of crap," because then it's
Right.
going to negate you. So there's a downside of a person who did it. So, you take all these things, a grain of salt, you weigh it out, and you get those data points in your brain.
Yeah, I think too, there's a general cynicism that has really weighed in. I don't know if it's pervasive enough to be outside of our community,
Hmm.
but I certainly see examples of it within the gun community where if you like a gun too much, you're called a shill,
Hmm.
right? And there's no perfect guns. There are guns that get very close
Hmm.
for certain shooters, but there's no perfect guns. So we always try to provide that honest level of feedback. And if you think about it as a business from that standpoint, it would be a short term gain to talk really well about a gun that you didn't necessarily love that much, and then a long term loss, right? Because you're going to lose
You're going
credibility.
to get caught out there.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna find that
Everything on
gun
the
was
internet lives forever.
right. Yes, exactly. So we're putting out milestones out there all the time that are going to be around
Right.
for a long time,
Yeah, like that
and
Remington, that what is it? Was it the R52? Remember that? Do you remember that thing? What was it?
yeah, I
Yeah.
vaguely do. I'm thankful I didn't review that.
Yeah.
But that's
Uh-huh.
the life of it, right? So we're
Hmm.
taking that input and we're adding hopefully a lot of other folks to that. Now this
Hmm.
isn't live, like you said.
Hmm.
Our goal currently is to have this up and running in September. um, our developers are working hard to work out all the bugs and make sure that we've got a system that's going to be durable when we start having people create accounts and putting in their information. And we're working out incentives currently, but I'm thinking it's going to be along the order of random giveaways, right? You create an account, you do X amount of reviews,
Hmm.
we could potentially send something out to you. That's still in the works right now,
Okay.
uh, but we wanted to get the word out because we're getting pretty close to having this thing up and running. And we'll be sending this out in all of our socials, obviously, and in our email blasts, and having it up on the webpage too. But we want to outreach and just give folks a heads up that, hey, man, this is going to be a party over at Pew Pew Tactical. Come on over and tell me how much you love that Remington 700, or tell me
Right.
how much you hate whatever gun you hate, because it's all valid feedback.
Yes, absolutely. And, in the interest of full disclosure, I believe that we're going to be working with you guys, helping you out a little bit on the rollout. So obviously, you
Absolutely.
know, we'll have you on here at when that becomes live. When did you say we can look for? I know it's not like a set in stone date. When is the
Currently looking at September. Yeah, I'm
September?
tickled
Okay.
that, because like we scheduled with you a while back,
Hmm.
and we were kind of hoping that it's hard to say when things are
Hmm.
going to be absolutely finalized, but we're looking
Hmm.
at September of next month. We're
Okay.
pretty
Cool.
close now, but it's going to be an undertaking, right?
Yeah.
Like to go in and
It's
create.
cool.
Like
It's
think about
cool. It's exciting,
how many
man. It's to think about it.
yeah, think about how many guns there are, though. Like
A lot.
that
Look at
are
that. Look
worth.
at HR. Yeah, look at HR 18. What is it? 1888. Did you see how many
Right.
guns they put in that bill?
Yeah, it's mind blowing, right? I mean, to be able to come up with a comprehensive list, and then there's going to be somebody out there going, "Oh, well, they didn't mention this one, right?
Lord,
They
yeah.
didn't mention the M1 carbine, so we're
Oh
good
Lord.
there."
Yeah. So are you guys taking input from people? Are you taking ideas? What's the, I know you were just discussing like an incentive. I think it would be cool if there was some kind of points that people could get, or some way that they could build up points or something that maybe they got some money off or different things like that. I think that would be an exciting aspect of doing in exchange, obviously, for those people giving you their information. And then I'm sure someone's going to ask about, how is that information going to be disseminated out there, etc.
Sure. Yeah. No, those are all valid points. And like I said, since we're getting close to the final product going live, absolutely we're taking feedback. I think that's a valid part of being a representative of this community, right? We want to be inclusive. We want to invite folks in and provide them with good information in a palatable format. So, having that feedback is very important to us, and we want to make sure that we hear our community as well as serve our community. I think with being respectful of people's information while incentivizing them to come in and say, hey, like we're building something, potentially a library that
Mm-hmm.
could be valid for anyone wanting to do
Mm-hmm.
research, wanting to compare prices of guns, wanting to compare features of guns.
Mm-hmm.
I think it could be really cool.
Yeah, it could be an industry standard, if it's done right. Which
Right.
all this stuff is evolving, and you know, it's just one of these things, right? That I think that we need, and I see how it's used in other things. Like I look at I'm into movies. I don't go to movie theaters anymore, but I look at movie reviews, and just like we're talking about, sometimes I wonder like what's the motivation behind someone giving a movie review versus how do
Right.
folks feel when they actually get into the movie theater and see that movie. So and
Yeah.
that's where the tomato meter I think comes in and makes a big difference, because you see those two side by side scores of what's going on there. So I think it has incredible potential, and I'm very excited to see how it develops. In my brain I'm thinking, it'd be cool, like I you just is it just gonna be like a blurb that people could write in there, or are you guys considering maybe at some point even attaching videos to that like you might see on Amazon?
Yeah, I don't think anything is necessarily off the table just yet. We're basically keeping all of our options open. We know that we have the framework, right? We're able to present to you today and to your audience and say, look, this is the general idea of what we have.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about, let's say, the Ruger Vaquero, like you saw on your phone earlier.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about, here's the review that Sean wrote a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a video that we did on this gun.
Mm-hmm.
Um, now here are several different reviewers that have come
Mm-hmm.
in.
Mm-hmm.
The lay people, so to speak, the shooters out there who have their own experiences with their gun, and they're going to come in and they're going to say, "Oh, well, the bronze one is great, but the other two aren't that good for whatever reason. The coating wears off, or the accuracy is not that good, or
Mm-hmm.
man, this is an outstanding value." And they're going to color their own experiences in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, at the bottom, you're going to see the list of different assets that you can look at and then compare prices. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think nothing is off the table, and we're hopefully going to continue to just build on it and see what direction it goes in.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, you might even be able to develop that into like its own separate app or something.
Hey, man, if we're looking at it like based on the model that we've already explained, it could be applicable to a number of different areas, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The sky's the limit there. If anyone has any questions about that or wants to know more about that, let us know right now. This will be a good time. We'll get into it. We'll answer those questions for you. as I said, I will be helping Sean and Pew Pew Tactical roll that out to folks. I'm sure once you launch, you're going to be doing a bunch of different things on different platforms to get the word out, right?
Yeah, there'll be quite a bit of outreach, just trying to alert the entire gun community that we've got this thing going on, and we'd
Mm-hmm.
love to have some help. And again, we don't expect people to come in and do it for free. We're
Mm-hmm.
hoping to have. Here's the wonderful thing about it: we get access to a lot of different products, to
Mm-hmm.
guns, to accessories, and we have a cache of several things that we
Mm-hmm.
could put up on the list and potentially send out. I don't want to obligate us there because I don't know exactly how far the bosses want to go with
Mm-hmm.
what we're going to do. But
Mm-hmm.
I know that it's going to be good incentives to
Yeah.
get folks in, create that account, and then go in and plug in your feedback.
Yeah.
Help build this library that we're trying to create.
Yeah, I was wondering if it's going to be just new guns or some old school stuff that maybe is not even out there anymore that people.
I suspect that we'll start with newer
Mm-hmm.
stuff, right? Stuff that's
Mm-hmm.
available, and then we'll kind of take it from there. You've got to think about it from the standpoint of
Mm-hmm.
selling guns. And if we're able to link up to like guns.com that has
Mm-hmm.
a pretty considerable used inventory, then I think there's definitely room to move into that area to talk about older guns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. No, that's very cool. If anyone has questions, let us know throughout the show. I'll bring them up here. I see Armin and Axis says Daniel Defense overpriced in my honest opinion, but I'm a builder, so dot 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 dot. I don't know if you've got any
Sure.
opinion on that. Yeah.
Absolutely do. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
love Daniel Defense. I think
Mm-hmm.
their rifles are outstanding. And I believe that we've already got something in the Pew Pew Meter that refers to them as having a premium price. Right?
Is that the code words?
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I think about paying a premium. That's
Mm-hmm.
not really a code. That's
Yeah.
pretty. You're going to
Right.
pay for that
Right.
experience. So,
Yeah.
it's kind of one of those scenarios where
Yeah.
you're
Is
you're
Daniel
getting that
Defense
on feedback.
right? Yeah. Is Daniel Defense even? They're not the most expensive ARs though. There's more expensive, like basic. Not. I don't want to say basic ARs because I think some of these companies you are paying for the materials or
Yeah,
design and different
absolutely.
things like that. But Daniel
Yeah,
Defense. So Daniel Defense is definitely like the upper part of the middle. I would say, my opinion, upper part of the
right.
middle. But there's way over that in the AR market in terms of prices.
Yeah, I mean, you've got more artisanal companies out
Mm-hmm.
there, like maybe Noveski would be another name.
Right.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
F1 is out there.
Mm.
F1 absolutely makes some pretty high end products, but they also have lower tiered, more affordable, like
Mm-hmm.
$1,000 rifle. People might
Yeah.
be surprised to hear that.
Yeah.
Hodge Defense is one that I hear about, made right here in Texas.
Yeah. We're
I'm going
gonna
to get.
take a break. We're gonna take this over into the next segment because I see this is gonna be juicy. With Armslist, you can shop the extensive list of local and nationwide firearms classified, now with more confidence because of their built-in firewall. For only $6.99 a month for personal use or $30 a month for business vendors, so when you're in the market, please consider Armslist. We wouldn't be able to keep the Who Moved My Freedom podcast going without the support of great companies like Armslist. So all of a sudden, we got everyone excited here on this subject. I think it's a good subject. Let me see. Let me get some comments in, and then I'll let you get back. Night Train says Noveski. Why did my AC come on right now?
It's hot out, baby. It's hot out.
Yeah, it'll come off here in a second. Yeah, Night Train says Noveski. Cruiseman says if you're buying off the shelf, BCM has some good value.
No
And
doubt.
Night Train says nothing wrong with FN or Colt.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, for years the law enforcement market would only buy Colt. That was like that was the only direction that they would go in, and I always thought that was kind of silly. There are several other products out there that are equally as reliable, if not better. FN is another good one. Um, the funny thing about this is everyone's list is going to be a little bit different, right? And that's something that I think we're trying to cull, we're trying to implement into the Pew Pew Meter. We've all got our different experiences, we've all got our different lists, and there's some good rifles out there, man. We've
Yeah.
never been in a better place than right now to enjoy this flooded market of AR-15s, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is the beautiful thing. There's, like, wherever you want to go. Armory and Axe's follow-up comment from him, he says the 300 Blackout I built costs about $650 to build, but if I bought it off the shelf, it would probably have been double that. And that's true. That's true. I mean, that's an
Sure.
option. That's a viable option.
Sure.
Build it yourself. You know.
Mhm.
And then there's company. Excuse me. There's companies that have entry level stuff, very affordable. PSA is one of those. But then PSA also goes up. They've got some higher end things. I think. And now you're seeing even Daniel Defense. I remember years ago talking to Daniel Defense and asking them, how come you don't sell like a stripped down version of your gun without all the expense? And they're like, no, then it wouldn't be Daniel Defense. But I notice we're seeing some of that out there now. So everyone's kind of got different price points for wherever you want to be, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said with F1, they are traditionally known for their super lightweight race guns, right?
Mm-hmm.
But recently, I was made aware that they're putting together a project that's going to be a more budget minded. It's still going to be around $1,000, or maybe no. I think it'll be higher than that because they're going to package it with an optic and a light and a sling.
Mm-hmm.
So you get the case, you pull it out, and man, you're good to go. You bolt a few things on,
Mm-hmm.
and you are absolutely ready to run to the races. But
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, there's like it's like the California gold rush, right? Or back in the early days when they were giving land away in the West, man. If you just run out and stake your claim, um,
Mm-hmm.
you could pick something up really nice for yourself.
Yeah.
When you talk about that, the gun sales that you mentioned earlier
Mm-hmm.
and the start of the podcast, that is representative of that market. And so there are
Yeah.
so many people who are finding a place to create quality products at different price ranges. Some of the bigger companies, like you mentioned, PSA, yeah, they can hit a lot of different marks. Barnauls, who we love and adore,
Mm-hmm.
they've got a bunch of different offerings. Like the BRN 180, now chambered in a bunch of different. I didn't even know they had a 7.6239
Yeah.
upper that thing. Then that's so cool.
Yeah.
Um, so you've got a lot of companies that are diversifying their reach for more of that market share, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody wants to buy something, but if you want to dig in, if you want to look at best value, or if you want to be artisanal and you want a Noveske or something like
Remember
that,
Double
right?
Star? I think that's a Kentucky. Is it Double? I think it's Double Star. That's a Kentucky AR maker. They kind of have like a dragon or something like that. Is it? Someone will tell me out there. I think that was my first AR. I think was from Double Star. If
Yeah,
Let me see. I'll have to look it up and see if I'm talking about the right. Because I'm
yeah.
terrible with this
My
stuff.
first AR was an Olympic Arms,
Mm.
and I don't have that anymore. But it was a decent rifle, and it wasn't overly expensive. Actually, I mean, my first issued AR was an old Colt from the um, Vietnam era,
Mm-hmm.
and ooh, that was something special. But man, so many different options now. It is absolutely amazing, the different options that you have, not only in price point but in features. You would think that an AR is an AR, but
Mm-hmm.
it's scandalous to even say that these days because there are so many different
Yeah.
things being done, right?
Yeah, whatever it is you can afford, whatever it is you can get your hands on, you get in there, you start entry level, you build your way up. But yeah, I think it was yeah, definitely double star. I think that was the first AR that I had, you
Okay.
know, going back
All
in the
right.
days. And then you work your I don't have that either. I wish I did actually. But I
Yeah.
wound up selling that and then getting something else and doing all kinds of different things because I had
Right.
to do that back in the days. So
I really feel like I've only ever regretted selling firearms. Um,
right.
there have been
Yeah.
several times when, especially as a starving young deputy,
Hmm.
where I traded up, right? Like I moved into a better gun by selling the gun that I had at the time. Uh, and that was the only way that I could feasibly afford it.
Hmm.
But I always regretted, like it was like a lost lover, and
Yeah.
languished and left in a time gone by. And I sometimes wish that I could go back and make amends to that gun and put
Right.
it back.
Yeah, there's dudes that don't sell anything, man.
Oh, I
And
know, I know,
yeah.
I know.
And I want to be like that nowadays. I still sell things here and there, but I want to be like that too because yeah, that nostalgia. And if it's a terrible gun, if it's a terrible gun that no one likes, I definitely don't sell it because then it becomes even more rare and collectible. And I want to brag of the awfulness that I possess to other people. You know,
Okay, so you've definitely entered into collector levels there, right?
right? Yes.
I think about that like over the years I've had the approach where I would always say that a gun had to be functional in order for me to keep it, right?
Hmm.
Now, um, my access has increased exponentially, right,
Hmm.
since I started writing,
Hmm.
but I still try to adhere to that, like having that useful function. And what the non-gun lovers don't realize is how many different guns there are and for all the different
Hmm.
purposes that they were designed, right?
Yeah.
So it's not difficult for us to say, oh, well, I got to have a shotgun for this, and I've got to have this 22 rifle for that,
Hmm.
and this 22 pistol is fun for this, and then
Hmm.
I've got to have this 300 for home defense. So you can easily get in and start categorizing and still have very valid functional uses for all those different firearms.
Yes, absolutely. Um,
But Hank, I got to disagree, man. I don't have a spot in my safe for an absolutely crappy gun.
oh, you don't? Okay. What's a terrible gun out there that you know something you think is a terrible gun but really cool? I'll give you an example. I have one, the Zip 22. You know what the Zip 22? I don't have one right here, but you ever heard of the Zip 22? I'm gonna pull that up for you.
Sounds
Uh,
familiar.
the Zip 22 is a bullpup pistol, 22 caliber, and let's see. So right here, here we go. USFA Zip 22. That's what it looks like. It's a bullpup. It's a pistol. It's all kinds of stuff. It's 22. Look at what it looks like in the hand, man. Stealth.
Oh my
You know, you
word!
could also attach that, I guess, to the bottom of an AR or something. You know,
Man, that's a lunchbox gun.
yeah, yeah. Terrible gun, terrible bullpup gun. I actually, I collect bullpups, and I got one because I was working with this gun store, and a guy brought one. He brought one in there, and he was gonna sell it to them. They're like, "We don't want that," and I was like, "Listen, I want that thing." They knew what it was, and they were like, "Yeah, we don't. That's terrible. We don't want it." But
Right.
a long time ago, I learned terrible things in any genre, always good. You get the
I
terrible
can see that.
things.
Yeah. No,
So I
I
got
think
it,
you made
man. I got it
a
for like almost for
yeah.
nothing, pretty much. You know, as a matter of fact, they bought it from the guy and then just gave it to me. They didn't even like, okay, here you go,
Right.
just to get
Right.
rid of him. And I love it. It's awesome. It's in my collection.
I have a kind of mindset, and I have to challenge myself on this because almost every gun that I get, I try to keep a broad perspective, right? There is a tendency, especially lately, to have a lot of micro compacts. And brother, I'm going to tell you, micro compacts and I don't always get along. It's tough for me to get
Okay.
good grip on those guns, and
Mhm.
they're great to conceal,
Mhm.
right? But would you want to fight with a gun that small? Um, so there's always that balance between functionality versus concealability,
Mhm.
and I struggle with that. But I always keep an open mind, and I think people sometimes would probably rather that I just come out and say, "Ah, this gun's a piece of crap. Don't buy it. I hate it." But I can almost always think of applications where people can pick up this gun and it would be useful in a certain scenario or a certain circumstance, or point of use that you, or philosophy of use that you might want to use it in. And because of that, I struggle to find something that's an absolute
Uh,
reject. But man, this
let,
Zip 22 that's ringing a bell
no,
there.
that Zip 22 will definitely. Every time I shoot that gun, I'm like, man, I got to be careful. I'm gonna shoot myself. It's very easy to do. Very easy to do. We do have video. There is video on Hank Strange of us doing that. But so what's a terrible micro compact that you wish you had just for nostalgia? You know what? We were talking about the Remington R. Is it the R51 or 50? I think it's R51.
Yeah, let's get into that because I'm not familiar with that one.
Remington R50. Is it? Yes, it's R51. That was a gun. I remember seeing this gun at a SHOT Show. Here we go. That's what it looks like. The R51. It looks good if you look at it. If you look at it here in pictures and everything, it looks kind of retro. You know, kind of that
It looks a
50s.
little like a PPK.
Yeah, kind of 50s space age style. I remember at the SHOT Show where we saw that and we did a video with the engineer and everything. And typically those videos where people are telling me, you know, at SHOT Show they're telling me about their thing, I'm not going to go, this is a piece of crap, you know, but I'll let them tell me about it and stuff like that. And then
Sure.
after that video, I remember Lola saying, you know, we should do that again because you were very unenthusiastic about that. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that again. I did not like that thing. And it's really funny because that gun had so many problems. You know, people
Yeah.
were actually buying those guns out there and they were pieces of crap right out the box. I remember a gun store that I knew here locally, they got one in and they called me up. They were like, you need to come look at this thing. It's really horrible. And I remember going to after SHOT Show, there was the NRA show a couple of months later, and at NRA, I was in Remington's booth asking them about how terrible it was because at this point now people are making YouTube videos. I didn't get one. I regret not getting one. I should have gotten one just to keep it in the collection. And if anyone has one out there and you're not trying to sell it for an arm and a leg, I'll be happy just to put it in my collection of horrible guns.
Well, let's check prices. Let's see if
Yeah,
there's any used market out there. I'm
yeah,
curious now. I want
yeah.
to see.
We'll see what it is. But here's the story. I remember being at NRA in Remington's booth. They had a
Uh,
massive signage and all that up, and people were in their booth asking them about all the problems that they were having with the R51. And I remember the guys, the engineers and everything in there saying, "Oh no, we designed it like this deliberately for your safety." I was listening to just craziness, and at that show they canceled that gun. and
oh man.
and people who had problems with it that sent it back to them never ever got them back. So um,
Um,
that is an idea of a terrible gun that I wish I would have just bought one and just kept it in the box,
okay.
you know. But
Okay.
I will look and see
Yeah.
if I can find a price on, you know.
That's like a misminted coin, Hank. That's what you're telling me right there. Is it increases the value, and I'm sure that there's
Yeah,
probably not a lot of them out there, so that too would
yeah.
increase the
Let's check
value.
Gunbroker. We'll check Gunbroker here and
Yeah,
see.
that holds up.
Pre-owned 370. It's not terrible. 450 to
Okay.
something here. There's still bids going on some of these. A
Yeah.
gunbroker. I mean, of course, I should also be looking at Armslist, you know. But
You should. You
yes,
should indeed.
I need to look at Armslist and see what Armslist has going on.
Oh
But
man.
yeah, you know, let's see what
Yeah, you've made the case now. I can see that it's
okay, here's
definitely
the
collective,
yeah,
or collector's category, but okay,
yeah.
295.
Yeah, so there's some on Arms List. So yeah, you know, I'm telling you, they don't have that. They might have no value right now, but just for the awesomeness, one of those guns that I got like that, the Hudson H9. Remember that?
Oh yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, I never
Yeah.
ran across one of those either. Did
No,
you pick one of those up?
I got one used. Like
Okay.
I think last year, the end of last year, I got one used, and I'm glad I did, man. When those first came out, those guns were like selling for 1,200, 1,300 bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, the box
Yeah.
was awesome. It was like buying an iPhone,
Right. I
and they,
remember there was quite a bit of fanfare about that
yeah,
gun.
the rollout, the company burned through like $40 million just on the rollout of that gun.
Man.
And they were nice. The people at the company were really cool and everything, but they just spent too much money. They just went in too deep, and they got in way over their heads. And then when they had problems, the same thing happened. They went into bankruptcy, and a bunch of people's guns were there getting fixed, and they went out of business, and those people never got the guns. And and that's an awesome story. I hate to say it, it's terrible, but it's cool when you take that gun out of your collection and go, have you even seen something like this? People are like, no, what the hell
Right.
is that?
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. No, that does add to the collectability. That's very true.
yeah. I love stuff like that. Stuff like that
Yeah.
is, what you live for. And obviously, when you're a guy like me that collects bullpups, there's a lot of terrible bullpups out there. I will.
I, I've heard that argument so many times over the years, and um, I've I've tried a few bull pups, and I've enjoyed them, but I just never could make the
Yeah,
changeover. Like, what
yeah.
limited memory or physical skills that I have with the AR-15, I'm not about to sacrifice to
Hmm.
have a shorter length of pull, or the other traditional benefits that you can
Yeah,
argue over the bullpup. So
yeah. There's some badass bullpups, but there's some. So I have a FN FS 2000. I don't know if you know what that looks like. The FS 2000. It's a big sci-fi looking like gun. You guys, I think. Oh, I think he. I think. Yeah. Here we go. Let's see if we can
yeah,
get. Yeah. There we go. Got you back. You froze for a second there. Yeah. Do you know what the FN FS 2000 looks like?
I think so. Is that kind of like the one on Halo that we see a lot?
Okay. So here we go. This is it. Here. Here's some pictures of it. So
Yeah,
yeah. There you go.
yeah.
Bam. Right. It's like a big boat. It's like a big plastic boat. You know. Um, the arms man says, Hank, you must have the worst collection. Shake my head. I've got some good guns. I've got some good guns and some terrible guns, and that's
Sure.
fun. That's
Yeah.
fun. You know. Do you know that
It.
they used to use Picasso's for target practice? Do you know that?
Oh no.
Yeah. If you look up Picasso, and before he was Picasso, and everyone knows what that is, his paintings, people thought, well, this is crap. People would paint over Picasso's. They would put it out there and do bow and arrow practice with it, all kinds of stuff.
I,
Okay.
it doesn't surprise me, knowing humanity the way that I do, and
Hmm.
putting myself back in that time and that mindset. I could see where people would do this. It's horrible now to think about, but I'm sure people reacted to it poorly because it wasn't what they thought was beautiful or what they thought was art at the time.
Yeah. I think that that's just the way of the world,
Yeah.
and I think that when you're doing this kind of stuff, you know, you've got to be aware of that. That's the best way to sell it. So I was just
Right.
looking. I was just looking at Armslist. I've got to log in. I got to get my login to log in here. But there's a. We wouldn't be able to keep the Who Moved My Freedom podcast going without the support of a DAO, or decentralized autonomous organization like TUSC Crypto. TUSC cryptocurrency is a firearm-friendly e-commerce option for online payment transactions, secured on the blockchain. So when you're in the crypto market, please consider TUSC. TUSC. Yeah, I was just saying I've got to log in here to see exactly what the price is, but I'll do that later. But this is a nice OD green one right there. So yeah, I might add that. I might want to add a nice OD green
No, that's hot.
to
That
the
gun's got a
collection.
big bottom on it, though. If I'm being completely honest,
It's got a big what?
big bottom,
Yeah,
thick.
Yeah. That's like a scar, you know, like a scar.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
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 The big boot, the UGG boot.
Yeah, the UGG boot. Absolutely. Yeah. I just love bad stuff like that, man. You know, it's that's what makes the gun world a fun world to be in
Right.
my opinion. You know,
Yeah.
so I had some guys on the show a couple of weeks ago. They're collecting those smart guns.
Oh.
Remember smart guns? That gun guys was the bane of a gun guy's existence.
Yep.
Remember, if you showed that you had a smart gun, every gun guy in the world will put a fatwa out on you.
Oh no.
But these guys were like, that's what makes it cool, man. These things are popping
Yeah.
up every now and then on Gunbroker, Armslist, whatever it is you like to use. And they're like, yeah,
Wow.
you know, it's kind of cool to get it, especially because it's so horrible. I think it
Yeah,
used
I mean,
a wrist. You had to have a wrist thing in order to work it or something. Yeah.
yeah, was it like RFID or something like
Yeah, some
that?
stupid craziness. Yeah.
Proximity things. So,
Yeah.
oh man, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, this further goes to reinforce your concept of the collectible based upon a strange set of criteria, right? Whether
Mhm.
it's crappy or it's just horrible.
Mhm.
Or antithetical to the Second Amendment, maybe.
Well, you know, look, some people get the most awesome. Like we were talking about Noveski. Some dudes, everything is Noveski'd out,
Right,
right?
right,
Because that's a thing. Or FN. I knew a guy who his guns were only FN. If he had a rifle, FN. Handgun, FN.
right.
Anything that he had was FN. He wore FN hats, FN t-shirts, FN
Mhm.
bags. He went to the range, all his FN stuff laid out. Hey,
Sure.
you know that if that's what floats your boat, and I have
Yeah.
FN guns, I like FN stuff. I like Noveski things. I have some stuff from Noveski. I don't have any of their rifles or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, I have Daniel Defense. I have an what is it? The DDM3, the integrally suppressed one.
Okay.
DDRM3,
That,
I think.
yeah.
Yeah, and you know, but I've never liked that idea of being monolithic in terms of your style. You know, like the guy who only wears polo or Ralph Lauren or Gucci or
Right.
whatever, you know. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I'm totally with that. And the fun thing about it is, I've been writing since 2014, and because of that, I've been exposed to a lot of different guns and a lot of different gun companies. And because of that, I feel like I have a pretty broad understanding of the different approaches that they have. And man, there are so many different flavors out there. Like you could talk about Daniel Defense and what they bring to the table, and that's a high end product, right?
Mhm.
You're going to pay for that name, you're going to pay for that quality, but then you've got companies like Keltec,
Mhm.
and Keltec does some really innovative things. They kind of push the boundaries, and they come out with some different stuff. People could debate about the level of quality there, but I think that some of the products that I've had and that I've reviewed, they've been solid. So,
Yeah.
but a very different approach than something like a Daniel Defense.
Yeah.
But there's so many different experiences out there. There's no reason to limit yourself.
Yeah, we're really talking about two completely different companies, Daniel Defense and Keltec, right? Obviously, Daniel Defense is building off of ARs and established platforms, and then
Sure.
adding, you know, manufacturing and design to what already
Right.
exists, right? And sort of perfecting it, which is what a lot of companies do out there. And then they build up that boutique ness of the name. Um,
Yep.
you
Yeah.
know, Keltec to me is a completely different thing. And I used to be really cool with the Keltec guys until they got mad at me over, like, I did a video for one of the guns and I just, like, put out there honestly what I thought about it and they got kind of mad. They kind of run like a cult. They are a little bit like a cult over there. They are like Scientologists or, you know, one of
Oh
those
man.
kinds of things. But I'll tell you, no one, like, to me, George Kelgren is the only living embodiment of Browning or any of these guys that design guns that we were all like, oh my god, these people are so amazing. George Kelgren, that's that dude who's living
Yeah.
that has like just made and invented so many unique things and really pushed the boundaries of what firearms are. More than that guy, I don't, and still living.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the big barrier, right? John Moses Browning, hallowed be thy name.
Right.
Since then, it's kind of a short list,
Yeah.
and Keltec is great about that, like pushing the boundaries. So,
Yeah, I
uh,
put him over Kalishnikov, man, because personally, I don't even really know. I don't really believe that Kalishnikov came up with the AK on his own, but okay. But that's all he did. AK, that's it.
right, right,
Stoner
yeah.
did
I
some
mean,
more stuff, obviously, huh?
yeah. But do you? I mean, what more prolific testament to invention do you need? I mean,
Mhm.
that thing is friggin' worldwide. So,
For sure. I
it
mean, yeah, change the world, change
compare.
the face of the history of the
Right,
planet Earth.
right,
AK, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
without
But what
a
have you
doubt.
done since then?
Well, to me, that's always kind of so. When you're talking about engineers, creative people, people who invent things, if you only invent one thing, I always doubt it. So I'm an artist, I'm a creative person, right? What I'm doing even right now is just coming off the top of my head, right? I have no preparation or anything like that, and I'm not saying like I'm not super knowledgeable about guns. I'm not former super tactical dude or anything, or not even law enforcement like you, but it's just coming from a genuine flow of my experience and all that, and doing things with people,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
But to me, whenever I see so even if I see a musician who only has one hit song, I often wonder if that's like Milli Vanilli, that's
Yeah.
that's not
Yeah.
really a sign of creativity. True creativity just keeps. Look at Willie Nelson. That's one of the most prolific writers on the face of this planet. He's made hit songs for, like, we don't even know all the hit songs that Willie Nelson wrote, or Dolly Parton, for that matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
It kind of goes back to the basic principle of invention, right? There are two kind of inventions. There are improvements to new products, and there's completely new products.
Yep.
And a lot of the stuff that we do or that we see in this industry, it falls into those two categories.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
uh,
That's
it's
why,
kind of
like,
interesting
yeah,
approach
that's
you
why
take.
even though I had some, like, little rumblings with the guys at Keltec, I respect the fact that these are one of the few people in the firearms industry that's actually innovating some shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. Like you said, Daniel Defense is that
Yeah.
company that's taken that platform and improved it, right? And
Yeah.
continue to create something that, hey, if it's good enough for SOCOM, that's pretty high praise,
Hmm.
and therefore we can sell it to the American public. But are they changing the industry that much? I could say, like you, from your standpoint there with Caltech, yeah, Caltech is changing things. They're not afraid to say, hey, how can we really innovate this and do something a little bit different? So it's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool. Cruiseman says Bob Dylan is another one. Yes, respect to Bob Dylan out there.
Sure.
Look, I used to think this, and you could tell me what you think. I used to think that, you can't mess up an AR-15. I used to okay, Sean, I know. I used to think, like, how can you mess up an AR? But if you stay in the gun world long enough, you will you will meet companies that can mess up an AR. Well, what do you think, Sean? What do you think about that?
Well, and this goes back to the point that you made earlier when you said that people can suspect that the companies that we work with will occasionally cherry pick and send out their best example of a firearm for you to review. Um, that's not the case, I think. And there's evidence to support that,
Mm-hmm.
because there have been a number of times when I've gotten products, and despite the number of people that I'm going to be putting my information out in front of, there are issues, right? But it's up to us to communicate with those companies and say, hey, we didn't have everything we needed, or there was a screw missing, or this product failed. Now we're in that place. Let's test your customer service, and then we can maybe report that back to the folks who are going to be reading these reviews. So yeah, I think you can absolutely mess up an AR-15.
Yeah.
There are ways to screw up just about everything.
Yeah. So you've been doing this. When did you say you started? 2014.
Yeah, I started writing for Police One in 2014.
Okay, so you missed the firearm again. What was that? Like 2013.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, but after that, everyone and their mama started making ARs. Remember
Oh
that?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's been prolific,
Yeah.
and the the diversity of chamberings and the different options that you have, the different philosophies of use. Anything from hunting to varminting to home defense to PRS type applications, the designated marksman, you name it, man. The AR-15, in a lot of ways, I'm tickled about it because it's so diverse. We can use it for just about anything based
Hmm.
on that explosion
Hmm.
of people who are making different options for it.
Yeah, absolutely. But everyone shouldn't. Like, I've seen some companies, for example, that want to get into the AR-15 business and make the most entry level AR that I probably wouldn't even sell for four. I wouldn't buy it for $400. And they're selling it for like $2,000. I remember talking to a company like that one time. I went to their factory and they were very proud of these ARs. And what does a guy do buying an AR in the store, right? You pull the charging handle, you try that trigger. If that trigger's crunchy, if that charging handle's crunchy, are you paying $2,000?
No. Well, if you have some facility with what you're doing or what you're looking for, then no, you're not. You're not.
Yeah.
But there are also plenty of people who would go out for their first experience and not necessarily know any better. So
Yeah.
um,
Buy a cheap
it's
buy a cheap one then. Don't pay
sure.
$2,000 if you don't know what you're getting into. For sure, it's
Yeah.
worth it to get some because you could get a Smith and Wesson. What was that entry level Smith and Wesson? Was it the Sportster?
Yeah, like the M&P Sportster.
Yeah, yeah. You can get. You remember when you can? I don't know what it is now. I'd have to look. But you used to be able to get those things for like 400.
Very
It was
reasonable.
600. Then it was like 500. Then
Right.
400.
Yeah. Yeah, and a good gun,
Yeah,
not like an abomination that
yeah.
like you might worry about if you paid
Hmm.
400 or 500 bucks for. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean the AR market in those early days was like you said it, 400 to 500,
Hmm.
and if you pushed up higher than that, then there would be a reasonable question as to why. What am I absolutely getting? Because all of these parts are essentially the same, but we've had a lot of people, I think, niggling in the details, right? The devil is in the details,
Hmm.
and doing some really cool things that are innovating, not necessarily the overall platform, but changing small things that are really cool.
What's your favorite trends in ARs? Like, what's stuff that you like that you see companies doing to ARs? Is it
Um,
lightness? What is it?
well, I think lightness is extremely valuable. I wouldn't take it in exchange for reliability, but the honest feedback on that is most people aren't going to shoot their guns to an extent where that reliability needs to be an issue. Sure, I mean if you do a 1,500 round test of a gun, you should expect to have no problems with that.
Hmm.
But are most people going to fire their AR-15 into the 10,000 round,
No, I
20,000
think
round?
the average is 100 rounds before people sell it.
Sure,
Yeah.
but so if you're able to meet that benchmark, hopefully more than that, uh, lightness is cool because then you get into the proliferation of accessories, right? And that lightness is where you're going to gain those initial advantages that allow you to bolt on more accessories to heighten the capabilities of your AR. I think the trend that I've been happy about lately is not necessarily directly related to ARs, but in conjunction with ARs is the low variable powered optic. Having LVPOs greatly increases the utility overall of
Mm-hmm.
that platform. And, like I've got something coming up pretty soon with Primary Arms using one of their LPVOs and an Era Saka Defense 45-degree mount with a red dot on it. So I can have the capability to have a magnified optic straight over the top of the receiver and then cant 45 degrees and engage targets for close-up stuff if I need to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's awesome. That's not something that we had before,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm excited about that. The LPVOs are getting smaller, and
Do
but
you
yeah,
like those better than iron sights, or would you still also have all like so would you have like all three? Would you have iron sights, the LPVO, and like a red dot on top of that?
yeah, I don't really chase irons that much
Mhm.
anymore. If I had a situation where I needed to, I would plug some on. But I think if you use a quality optic, that you can rely on that. If it's something that is either in your service rotation for home defense, or if it's like a duty type weapon, then you need to religiously keep track of your battery, right? But even then, with wretched Etical, that's not always an issue unless you're in low light settings.
Mhm.
Then you want to keep track of your brightness settings and your. If you've got a
Mhm.
shake awake feature, that's always helpful too. It'll extend
Mhm.
that battery life. But you have a dedicated firearm like that you can set up. I don't run irons.
Okay.
I know this might surprise you, but
Mhm.
I'm getting a little long in the tooth, and
I knew that was
my
the next thing. I knew that.
my vision is not what it once was, and so as a result, I will take every damn advantage I can get, and I think that good optics are a great way to go.
do you?
Having a focus on irons
Mhm.
is like, yeah, I don't do that.
Okay. And then there is, if people are worried about weight, you do have like Magpul makes some really good, lightweight iron stuff that or iron sights
They
that you can
sure
put on there.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, absolutely. And that's not a bad option. But if you're talking about total ounces, right? And
mhm.
ounces equal pounds eventually.
Mhm.
So we've got to
Mhm.
keep that into the consideration. But a red dot, if you're talking about an LPVO and a red dot, like just like a mini red dot on the side of your
Yeah.
rifle,
Yeah. I mean,
something like
Hollow
that.
Sun is doing amazing, amazing. That's a company I've seen go from like zero to hero since I've been in the gun world. Hollow Sun, amazing story and amazing like what they're putting out there nowadays.
Yes, yes. And in fact, example here, I reviewed Staccato's P this year and ended up with the 507C X2 on there. And I couldn't be more impressed with what a great red dot. What a game changer in so many ways. And the hardiness of it has been really solid. I'm been tickled with that too.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a comment from Dan Hates You before we go to the break. Dan Hates You says the Department of Redundancy Department says you should run irons with your red dot or EOTech.
Right. Yeah.
Okay,
And we
all
went through
right.
that. Went through and I was part of the National Law Enforcement Firearms Instructors Association, and we went through the red dot conversion training, right, where we were going to be able to instruct law enforcement officers coming up through the academy how to shoot their firearms and convert to red dot. That was a topic of much debate. Like, we have to have suppressor height sights, right, on our pistols.
Yeah.
Um,
We're gonna take a quick break. Let's continue this right when we come back because I think I've got a lot of questions here and people probably have some as well. The Who Moved My Freedom podcast is made possible by our partners at 2A Commerce. Veteran owned and with over 20 years experience, 2A Commerce is the leader in custom e-commerce and web application development in the shooting sports industry. Clients include major brands such as Guard Dog Body Armor, Sylvan Arms, AccuFire Technologies, The Tactical Games, Warrior Knife Company, and yours truly, Hank Strange. Visit 2A Commerce and support this show by supporting them. Once again, visit the number 2acommerce.com. Yeah, so I think you were saying that the adoption of red dots, there was a lot of consternation. Is it here to stay? Are red dots here
Not
to stay?
so much the adoption of red dots. It's going to be slow, right? Like
Mhm.
they're going to be the naysayers, people who are entrenched in their position and are only looking for that confirmation bias to echo back to them. Yeah, you're right. Red dots suck. But the consideration of, should I use suppressor height sights? Should
Mhm.
I co-witness my irons with my red dot? And a lot of feedback on that. There's a lot of different people that have different philosophies on how that should be approached. It's not a terrible idea, but in the law enforcement scenarios, you can almost literally average out most engagements, right? They're like 5 feet or less. Um, and at 5 feet or less, you do not need a red dot. You may not even need to aim your pistol. So if the red dot died, if you weren't religious on your replacement of your battery schedule, or if you were in a situation and suddenly your optic failed,
Mhm.
would you need irons? Most of the time, the answer is no. If you're able to frame up your target and get it within the window of your optic, you're going to be money. If everything else is solid and your shooting foundation is good, you're going to hit your target.
Yeah, it depends. A lot of that has to do with how close you're fighting, right, or how close you expect to fight.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Proximity is everything. And I remember at a gun sight course, 250 course, that was one of the points that they made at 3 yards. You don't really even need to aim. You're just pointing in that general direction, and you don't necessarily have to have even sight picture. Now, granted, there are scenarios where it's going to be optimal. If you've got a hostage type situation where you have to make a more precise shot, then yes, red dot's going to be the way to go all the way. But yeah, for the idea of redundancy, I hear you, brother. I
Well,
think
I mean, it depends on, some of this really depends on who it is. Like, let's take law enforcement for example, right? I mean, I know that's what you did. That's what we're talking about. I've seen a lot of people in law enforcement. Their equipment is seriously lacking attention, right? They don't know how to sight things in, batteries, all that kind of stuff. Much less like how to mount things right. And we're
Mhm.
talking about people that have a higher probability than the average citizen out there who maybe takes this more seriously. They have a higher probability to actually get into a situation where they need those things, yet they're sorely lacking if you look. I've done some training with different people and looked at their equipment and thought, oh my God, these guys are in trouble.
Sure.
So,
Look, man, you could potentially tear the band-aid off of an enormous subject here if you wanted to delve into this. But yes, there are a wide array of law enforcement officers out there with a wide array of access or limited access to different firearms and accessories, right, to help them get their job done. It's one of the least commonly used skill sets that law enforcement possesses today, but it is the highest liability and arguably one of the greatest responsibilities. And you have entirely different walks of life that go into law enforcement. There
mhm.
are people who are, I'm sure you'll probably get this reference, tackleberries. If you look back at the old movie Police Academy, there was a guy who used
Oh boy.
Hoppies
Hmm.
as his aftershave, right? He
Hmm.
knew every single data point on his Smith and Wesson revolver, and he could tell you bullet weights, and he knew them forward and back. He knew the trigger pressure of his guns. But guess what? There are cops who are on the opposite end of that spectrum too, and they get up every day and they put their uniform on and they go out and they do the job. Um, if you see an officer on the line like that, and you see that their gear or equipment gives you the impression that they're maybe not up to snuff with someone who goes out as just a 2A celebrator and practices regularly, you can also infer that their training is probably not up to snuff. And that's just a sad reality out there.
Hmm.
If people are motivated, they can push toward trainings. It's not always going to be available to them, but there were times when I stepped outside of my normal duties and would go out and obtain additional training in addition to what I was doing on duty. But it's not always that case, man.
Yeah. So, like that being the case, I think this is why there's consternation, right, about red dots, because iron sights. If you've got them sighted in, you don't touch that rifle. Let's say for 6 months or a year, you pick it up.
Sure.
You could pop those iron sights up or whatever. So the flip side of that, using red dots and things, the technology for charging those things. I'm interested to know what you think works best. Is it battery? Is it solar power? Is it some of the stuff out there that, for example, like Olight, let's say, or other companies are using these things that you can magnetize and then plug it into USB or something and charge it? What do you think's more reliable? What do you prefer out of those?
Yeah, the answer, and you'll hate it, I'm sure, is it depends, right? Like if you're the average concealed carrier, um, your your requirement is not going to be the same as it is for law enforcement that may not have the ability to retreat from a deadly encounter, right? We should, I think, focus on avoidance at all costs as concealed carriers, as concerned citizens, but only engage if we're absolutely required to. And so, because of that philosophy, the incumbent responsibility on your equipment maintenance is not nearly as high.
Mm-hmm.
A
Mm-hmm.
law enforcement officer who might be responsible for the life of themselves, their partner, or someone else in the public,
Mm-hmm.
they've got a higher level of responsibility, so their equipment needs to be outstanding. I think it should be held to a higher bar, and so batteries have been great. I think when you look back even recently at the size of the original red dots that got mounted onto guns, man. Uh,
Come on, man. I've been looking at movies since the 80s.
No, I know this is what I'm talking about, right? Like, remember the
Yeah.
laser scope in like Terminator that Arnold had this enormous pistol
Yeah.
with the laser pointer on it, and
Yeah. I'm going to try to
man,
look
it
that up. Uh huh.
was like half a broomstick. Like
Right.
it was gigantic.
Hmm.
So technology is continually improving, and it's impressing me.
Hmm.
I think solar is great, but for
I mean,
here's
just look,
another
look look
kink
at
in the.
these. Look at these things,
Oh,
man.
that's it, man. That's
Look
it.
at
That's
look
money.
at look at that. This freaking optic is bigger than the gun.
That's hot. Now think about the holster required to strap that bad boy on.
Holy moly. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So the technology is getting better, right? And it's constantly improving. But I think right now,
Remember these? Remember these things? Jeez.
yeah, that's the one. I think it was on the Terminator 2 or something, or Terminator. The
Hmm.
original Terminator movie was one like that, and it
Yeah.
filled
Hmm.
with batteries and produced a light for a brief period of time.
Hmm.
compared to the shake awake and the battery life-saving functions that we have now that we almost take for granted because they've become kind of an industry standard. But it's fascinating because the technology is improving, and when it's improving, it's getting
look at
smaller.
Stallone. Look at Stallone in this movie.
Oh yeah,
Look at that
yeah.
laser.
You're the disease, and I'm the cure. Yeah.
Oh
Right.
Lord, yeah, yeah.
You can't even look down the sights of that gun anymore.
There's
Because
dudes that still have those out there in their safes. God bless you.
yeah, yeah,
Those are
yeah.
the old school.
Red dots. You and your red dots.
Yeah, Night
Um,
Train says Magpul sights are gold standard for me, but they cost a lot in gold.
yeah, yeah. But that's the one of the best things about where we're at right now is
Mhm.
there's solutions out there for everyone,
Mhm.
and there's no need to hate or judge. You can talk about preferences, but ultimately you got to
Mhm.
find what's going to work for you, and that's one of the things that we love preaching at Pew Pew
Yeah.
is find the solution that works for you and stick with it.
Any good
It,
solar ones out there that you like, or because I know you said it's a little bit of everything. So solar powered seems to be a little bit in
sure.
there. What do you
Yeah.
think? What do you like that's solar powered out there?
So I think Hollow Sun, right? Like they have one of the best names in the game for the solar stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's also battery powered too. So you've
Mm-hmm.
got that additional reliability. I
Mm-hmm.
think because law enforcement shootings tend to trend toward dark scenarios where it's
Mm-hmm.
dark out at night,
Mm-hmm.
um, that's a little bit more iffy. But then it should not supersede the religious maintenance of your battery. That annual replacement. Even if you're still putting out good power,
Yeah.
switch that battery
Is
out,
it
or you'll.
annual on batteries, man? Because I know people always say that, and then I'll get battery powered stuff, and 3 months later, dead. That thing's dead. I didn't even
Yeah.
use it. It's dead.
And,
You know.
and it has to become, and this is one of the things that we talked about in the Enlefia course, is it has to become part of your daily maintenance, right?
Mm-hmm.
You should be, when you get dressed for duty, you should be holstering, drawing, press checking, inspecting your weapon, making sure that your red dot is functioning and good to go. It's part of, you wouldn't walk out the door without underwear or shoes on. Uh, Make sure that your stuff is
Okay,
working.
I live in Florida, so I don't know if you're aware of how people
Yeah,
get down
I'm
over
not going to
here.
judge.
Yeah, let me see that.
It's
Let me
okay.
see that handgun once again. There's a question I want to ask you. This is why I want to see it. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Okay, now you still have sights on this. Do you think there's a day when handguns won't have any of these iron sights on them at all? They won't have any, suppressor height or whatever. Do you just be a red dot? Do you foresee that day?
Absolutely.
Really? Are you already doing that with some guns?
No, but I foresee a day when we won't even have this. When we won't have this, it'll be a slick top basically. We're going to have projectors that will emit a screen of a field, basically, for lack of a better point, and it'll be semi-transparent, and there'll be a red dot just floating, and you'll be able to bring your weapon up on target, and you'll see that red dot. It'll just be floating there, and there will be nothing else around it. So it will essentially remove the need for iron sights at all.
Wow, how that sounds like some sci-fi stuff. How
It
far away
absolutely
do you
is.
think? Okay,
It
okay.
absolutely is.
Hmm.
But think about the trend, man. Um, when we look back, red dots were sci-fi, right? There's a comment on I just reviewed the PDPF, right? We talked about that earlier. And there's a comment on one of my articles right now on that review where a guy's like, oh, but this trend for red dots, this craze is going to blow over.
Hmm.
No, no, there are too many advantages, right? When you
Yeah,
think
red dots are
about,
here to stay. If anyone thinks red dots are
yeah,
gonna go away, I don't believe that. No.
when you think about what we did when we put iron sights on a gun, right?
Mm-hmm.
We did the most amazing thing for millions of years. Arguably, we've been sighting our targets, right? A target focus and throwing a spear, slinging a sling, bow and arrow, you name it. We've been looking at the target when we did that. And when we put iron sights on a gun, we created a triple perspective where our eyes had to do something that they had never had to do before. Um, we had to put this in the forefront of our focus over a target that we can only see hazily in the forefront, and then line it up in this little gap in the back, also in our peripheral, right?
Mm-hmm.
With this having clear focus, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
the eye can only focus on one thing. Um, when we went to red dots, we literally went back to target focus shooting. So we are now looking at our target. We're bringing the red dot over our target and superimposing it over the target. We're not looking at the red dot.
That's what
We're
throws a
looking.
lot of us off doing that
Yeah,
whole thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're so embedded with that front sight focus,
Mm-hmm.
right? But now it's just seeing the target and then superimposing the red dot over it and seeing the red dot in your peripheral vision. Hit the trigger. You're good to go.
Yeah. Um, as long as you like, you might be challenged like me and have astigmatism or something.
Yeah,
Not always have your glasses on. I don't
that's a
wear my
reality.
glasses half as much as I should, so it gets a little complicated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you also get the benefit of having both eyes open when you do
Yeah.
that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm a cross dominant shooter,
Mm-hmm.
like you. I was raised in the 70s, and pediatricians in those days said, hey, it's a right handed world. So hand everything to his right hand, disallow the fact that he's trying to grab everything with his left hand. So I'm still left eye dominant, but I've learned to be right handed. And as a result, that makes me cross dominant.
Mm-hmm.
But with a red dot, I can come up. I don't have to tell this eye shut up like I do with
Mm-hmm.
irons, and I can see my target, focus on my target, have good um, presence
Mm-hmm.
about my environment all the while, bring my red dot up on my target, and engage. So
Mm-hmm.
just so many benefits to not doing it the old way that it's not going to go away, and it's only going to. And to be honest, I'm probably underselling it. It's it may be 100 years from now, but holy crap, what is it going to look like then?
Yeah, technology is getting better. I mean, just the competition, the race of all these different companies. Red dots are getting smaller, lighter, better features. The fact that it seems simple, but just a tray, so you don't have to take the whole damn red dot off in order to,
Sure.
all those kinds of things. The battery technology, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. 42
Yeah.
Chilled said we have a couple of minutes left here. 42 Chilled says we were talking about future stuff. Bullets with your name. No, no aiming. Bullets with your name. Do you think we're going to see that? Bullets programmed to get you.
I think
It was in Fifth
you'll
Element.
probably I think you'll probably see something more along the lines of an interfaced smart gun where you have a targeting system built into either a pair of glasses or maybe the human eye that interfaces with the gun and it is like a targeting system, like a
Yeah,
HUD, right? Where you
yeah. We
can
have that in
see.
fighter jets. Yeah, I see what
Sure.
you're
So
saying.
there's
Yeah.
no reason why ultimately it can't be applied in. And I know this stuff is fanciful and it's kind of crazy, but I've been a big sci-fi fan forever. I mean, that's one of the themes at
Right.
Pew Pew. We love that kind of stuff, right? And but it's coming.
Yeah,
You
we
know,
have
like
guns that shoot around corners. There's little tiny drones that will get you now, man. That drone could come up to you, identify you, and blow up right in your face.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
The drone world is really scary. The ability to weaponize those tiny things is kind of on the alarming order.
Oh yeah, I mean some serious things out there. So it's going to be a lot of stuff. And I agree with you. I don't think red dots are going to go away anytime soon. It's just going to get more and more with technology, and we probably will see a point here where there'll be handguns and people won't even bother with the front sights and all that kind of stuff on these things. We won't see
Yeah,
it.
I don't think we're very far from that now. Some very high end,
Yeah,
respected shooters that I
we're gonna
have trained.
we're gonna take a break. Sorry, hold on. We wouldn't be able to keep the Who Moved My Freedom podcast going without the support of manufacturers like Safety Harbor Firearms. SHF is a quintessential family-owned small business, totally representative of the American dream. Safety Harbor Firearms is a Florida-based manufacturer of the compact entry stock and the SHTF 50 upper for an AR-15 lower. Also, SHF happily delivers on your Sten gun parts needs. So don't forget to check out stenparts.com and safetyharborfirearms.com. All right, sorry about that. Finish your thought, Sean. Go ahead.
No, I'd like to comment that I believe you have a very nice voice, Hank.
Oh, thanks.
Your voiceovers are lovely. I think the timbre of your voice is quite pleasant. And
I
I
appreciate
find
it.
myself wondering during that commercial break if you ever just call Lola at work and say, "Hey, baby, it's Hank. How are you
Oh,
today?"
she would not even believe that's me. But
That's fun.
yeah, if Lola hears me on the phone with a female and I go into the deep voice, she's like, "Why are you trying to flirt with that chick on the phone?"
Like that bass out your voice.
Yeah. She's like, "Oh, I heard your voice go deep. What's up with that?" So I get in trouble.
It was
On
a
that one.
voiceover, baby. It was a voiceover.
Yeah. I was just relaxed, I was just relaxing. The other day, this was so weird. I caught myself doing it, and I was like laughing at myself. So, you're walking around, you see someone, and they go, "Hey." So I was walking, I saw a guy, and he went, "Hey," like real deep, and then I responded deeper than I usually do because he went deep. I was like, "Hey."
Yeah,
It's like,
right.
and I was like, why did I just do that? But the guy caught me off guard being like a deep voice, and then my brain just immediately went, "Oh, this guy's not gonna out deep me." So
No, same thing, man. I was
Yeah.
at I have a really, I think, a good firm handshake, and with my big hands, and I'm fairly strong. I met a guy recently here in Texas that, man, he put it on me, Hank. He put it on me.
Yeah,
I was not ready.
you were rethinking that handshake, like, damn it.
I was like, and when you come back after the fact, like, oh, I got to turn it on now. It's not the same, right?
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I caught you.
No, I hate
you.
it when guys catch me out there and like do the vice grip, and I'm like, this bastard. I didn't know he was going in on vice.
Oh,
Men
yeah.
are too
Yeah.
competitive. We got serious problems. 42 Chills says Sam Andrews has a deep voice. Yeah, that's true.
That's what that deep voice is about, man. It's that competitive thing, right? Oh, you
Yeah.
down here?
I could go low too, baby. Yeah, Cruiseman says he hates a limp handshake. Yeah, so if that sometimes it happens, like a dude catches you off guard with that nonsense, and then I'm like, damn it.
Yeah.
This guy.
Let me be clear. Like, if I shake your hand, you're gonna know that I shook your hand, especially if
Right.
you're a guy, right?
Yeah.
But I was ready for this one, but I wasn't at 10, right? Like I always come like 7 or 8, like it's firm. But he was like at 10, and then I had to.
Well,
put it
some
back
guys
down
some guys have tricks, man. They try to go in there and do like Vulcan moves on you and all kinds of. It's like, come on! I didn't know we were doing all of this. I didn't know it was going to be combat sport.
And I can't stand a weak handshake either, man. That's like, oh,
Yeah,
you shouldn't judge someone for that, but Man, I don't know. I was raised different, I
Yeah.
guess.
All right, listen, I think we went over lots of good stuff. I think you are going to come back and talk about the Pew Pew Tactical Meter, right?
Yeah,
Pew
yeah.
Pew
With any
Meter.
luck.
Yeah.
There was one other point, and I wanted to close that
Okay.
off too. We
Mm-hmm.
were just before the break there.
Mm-hmm.
I have been fortunate enough to train with people who have done some really crazy stuff, some really
Mm-hmm.
cool stuff, like special forces folks.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the feedback that I've gotten is, yeah, if you do lose that dot, that redundancy is already there, because if you're able to frame your shot, you're pretty much good to go. So I
Yeah.
just wanted to close with that one.
Oh no, absolutely yes. And like I said, we're gonna do some more stuff with the Pew Pew Meter. Remember, you guys heard about it first here. I'll do a little breakout of the segment where we were talking about that if you're coming in now and you haven't heard about it. But we'll also get Sean to come back here and talk about that as it gets rolled out. I think it's a really cool idea. Of course, it's been fun, man, talking to you. The time has just gone. We started early and we already went over.
We're at the end, man.
Yeah,
We're at the end.
yeah. So here's what I want to do. I want to thank everyone for joining us, especially you. I'm going to run in the end, and then we're going to come back, and you're going to give the words of wisdom to the folks out there. But it's been really fun, man. It's always fun catching up with you. So
Yeah, likewise.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
been too long. I think the last time I was here was with Kevin Dixie,
Oh
and
yeah,
we had a really good time talking about some
yeah.
different defense scenarios,
Yep.
and
Yeah, we
it
got
was
to
a
get
good
Kevin
time.
Dixie back on, man. We haven't. You know what? Yeah, we haven't had Kevin Dixie on here. I got to find out. Lola is putting up a link to it, but that's just a soft run, right? That's not really. Yeah,
Yeah, it's not released yet, so
yeah,
we don't necessarily want to send people to it
yeah.
yet,
Don't yeah,
but
Lola. Don't send it. Like you guys don't go to that. We're just previewing it and showing you. That's not
right.
functional. It's just an idea. It's going to be coming out, and we're just whetting
Yeah.
your appetite with that.
Because when we get it live,
Hmm.
most likely September, we
Hmm.
will obviously have a link directly from the homepage where you can click on it.
Hmm.
We'll do a campaign, send out all the social media stuff, and let
Yeah,
everybody know, hey, come on in. Let's get your opinion on these guns so we can fill this library out and
yeah.
get the collective benefit of everyone's knowledge.
Yeah, I think that's going to be fun. So let me get to Armsman says great show, gentlemen, and 42 Chilled said call your senators to vote no on assault weapons ban. Agree with that. Cruiseman says we haven't seen Sean solo in a while. This was nice. Yes, it is. It's always great. Sean and I we could talk for hours. So uh,
We
yeah,
have
that's
much in common.
right. Absolutely, absolutely. Uh, so let me run in the end. We'll come back. We'll get words of wisdom from you, Sean. You got a couple of seconds here to think about that. Let's run the
All
end
right.
in. All right, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with us here. We're gonna rip the audio out of this, throw it up on iTunes and all your favorite places to get your audio podcast from. You can also get it from Audible as well. If you're on Audible already, Audible is a great place to get the Who Moved My Freedom podcast from. So, my friend Sean Curtis, Pew Pew Tactical, words of wisdom, sir. What you got?
Man, I got a poem for you, and this one goes back so far. I don't even know to quote it. There, it's been attributed to a lot of different people, but I'm just gonna read this to you, and it is summarizing the devil is in the details, right? For the want of a nail, the shoe was lost. For the want of a shoe, the horse was lost. For the want of a horse, the rider was lost. For the want of a rider, the battle was lost. For the want of a battle, the kingdom was lost, and all for the want of a horseshoe nail. Uh, the devil is in the details. Sometimes it's those little things.
Yep.
Could be a battery in your optic.
Yep. Yes, it is. Full circle. Full circle. Big thanks to Sean of Pew Pew Tactical. I'm going to press the button. Thanks, Sean. Stay right there. We'll see you guys. Let me make sure I hit all
Thanks,
these.
everyone.
Yes, definitely. Thanks, everyone out there. Let me make sure I hit the buttons correctly. Here we go. Let's see.